Hello, my dear students. It's your dear Mr. Samrad once again. Welcome to Basic Science class. Today, I would love to take you on a trip to you can guess it. We're not going to the moon this time around. We're going to remain on this planet. But I think we should go to the east. I want to take you to China. A beautiful city in China called Tianjin. Let's take a trip there. Oh, but wait. Why do we need to visit Tianjin? The Tianjin we know today is different from what it was way back in 2015. Before 2015, this is Tianjin. Tianjin used to be a very beautiful place. You can see the blue sky reflecting on waters. Oh my God, the skyscrapers, the high-rise buildings is actually a beautiful scenery to behold. And then this happened. Wow, a total contrast, a sharp contrast to what Tianjin used to be, a place that used to be a tourist center, now looking like a devastating sight. Okay, what really happened to Tianjin? What could have caused this? Okay, this is all we know. That an explosion actually occurred on Wednesday, August 12th, 2015. It shook the city to its foundation. Each time the inhabitants of this city recall this day, it's always with sadness. Wait, you can't fathom what they felt. You can't comprehend until you immerse yourself. I want you to feel the horror of this explosion. Please follow me, my students, as BBC covered this through an eyewitness video. The eyewitnesses thought it was a joke. It all started like a minor case, and then suddenly it became something that almost engulfed them. My dear students, I want you to know that the horror of this explosion cannot be quantified.
Whoa! I'm videoing it. What the
I think that might be a gas station or something.
I guess. Whoa! Oh! What the? No! No, baby! No!
Are we dangerous here?
Yeah, we're dangerous. Oh my God!
Oh dear! Are you filming?
Yes, I'm filming.
Wow! Wow! I think we are dangerous.
Let's go. Let's go down. Let's go. Come on.
It's almost upon them. They can't take it anymore. It was getting closer and closer. What could have caused this? This explosion. Oh, wait. You thought you heard it right. When the eyewitnesses said that it could have been gas explosion, no, they were wrong. Yes. So then, what could have caused this horrendous explosion? What could have caused this conflagration? It's nothing but chemicals. Yes. Did you see how powerful chemicals can be? A chemical factory. Should I call it a chemical reaction went wrong? Maybe one or two of their machines actually malfunctioned? Before this explosion, everything they've been doing in that factory, in fact, they've been observing safety measures. But something went wrong. Anyways, Today we're going to learn about chemicals. At the end of this video, you should be able to define chemicals. You should be able to classify chemicals based on their intended use and their hazardous nature. You will also be able to state safety measures when using chemicals. My dear students, let's go on and see what chemicals are to people. When they hear chemicals, I would like to introduce you to people's opinion about chemicals. Anytime people hear, people around you, what chemicals are, they say, oh, they are dangerous. Some will say they are poisonous. Some say chemicals are actually very hazardous. Of course, they are all right. Of course, they are right. Not only that, some also believe that chemicals are those artificial substances that are gotten by mixing one or two materials together. That reminded me of Olamide's song, What a chemical. Alright, okay, now, do you know chemicals to farmers is like those materials that are actually hardened to the soil? And in industries, they make use of chemicals as well. Now that you have known what chemicals are, then you should know that chemicals are actually produced or used in chemical process. In case you are wondering, what is chemical process? It is actually the formation of new substance, and the change may not be easily reversible. In other words, new things are created in chemical process, and the old ones, that is the old things from which new things come from, may not be gotten back. My dear students, it's important for you to know that there are many chemicals in the world today, and all of them have their unique properties. But most chemicals are actually toxic. Now that you have known this, let's now go on and see the meaning of chemicals. Chemicals can actually be defined as substance which is an element or a compound produced by chemical process. Okay, an element or a compound that is gotten through chemical process. Now, let's see some of the examples of chemicals. The drugs you take, do you know they are chemicals? Yes. Even the water you take is a chemical. Do you know that salt is chemical? Yes. Including a substance inside your stomach, an acid called hydrochloric acid. You can also find in the laboratory too. All these are examples of chemicals. You're going to learn more about these chemicals in the subsequent slides. But in the meantime, it's important for us to actually know different classes of chemicals. Wait a minute. There is actually a body called ATSDR. The full meaning of ATSDR is Agency for Toxic Substances and Disease Registry. This ATSDR, they are just like WHO too, but they make sure they attend to, in fact, they are the one giving us information about chemicals, how poisonous they are. What is really their mission? Why are they doing that? It's simply because they want to protect all humans from harmful health effects related to exposure to natural and any man-made hazardous substances. So they are the one that give us information about different chemicals we come across, both natural one and man-made one, how dangerous they can be to our health. Okay, so why are we talking about them? I think they are related to what we want to look at, classification. We are looking at classes of chemicals. ATSDR classify chemicals based on their use. They also classify chemicals based on how dangerous they are, that is their hazardous nature. They also classify chemicals based on their structure. They also classify chemicals based on their physical properties, that is how they look like and how we can identify them. More so, chemicals are also classified based on their radiological properties. But today, we only want to look at classification on the basis of use and on the basis of hazardous nature. My dear students, follow me and let's start with classification on the basis of their uses. Okay, at this junction, we would like to classify chemicals based on their uses, and number one on the list is pharmaceutical. stroke cosmetics. Pharmaceutical stroke cosmetics chemicals. You might have come in contact with them. That should actually be number one. Number two, we also have agrochemicals, we have industrial chemicals, we have laboratory chemicals, as well as nuclear chemicals. All these five are types of chemicals that are categorized as chemicals which can actually be used by humans. Okay, at this point, let's start with number one, pharmaceutical and cosmetics. First and foremost, I want you to know that pharmaceutical chemicals are chemicals used in production of drugs and vaccines, and they are always required in high degree of purity, meaning that all the drugs you take, including the vaccines you were given when you were a kid, were made from pharmaceutical chemicals. These chemicals are pure. Why? Because they're going to be introduced into our body, so they are always of high degree purity. What about cosmetics? They are substances that are prepared to be used on any part of human body. You used some every day. Like this morning, you must have used your body cream, your hair cream, and some other ones. Do you also know that pharmaceutical stroke and cosmetics can be gotten from plants? Yes, and these can then be converted to pills that you take. Some are gotten from artificial chemicals, like the drugs you take, your paracetamol, your ampicillin, tetracycline, and the likes. Some are actually gotten from the natural means in the form of multivitamins. Oh, these ones contain vitamins and minerals. Not only that, pharmaceutical chemicals can actually be gotten from animals too, while some are gotten from microorganisms. These are the ones called antibiotics. Okay, now let's look at some examples of pharmaceutical chemicals. Now, pharmaceuticals include alcohols, fats and oil, lanolin, lead, ammonium, paraffin wax, and calcium hydroxide. These are few chemicals used in pharmaceutical companies to produce drugs and to also produce vaccines as well. Okay, let's now go on and check out cosmetics. They include soaps, shampoo, body cream, hair dye, perfumes, lipsticks, mascara, nail varnish, and so on and so forth. My dear students, now that you have known some examples of pharmaceuticals and cosmetics, let's go on and see number two. In this class, we are talking about agrochemicals. These are chemicals that are actually used in the agricultural sector to boost the crop yield. These chemicals can be applied on the soil to improve soil fertility. Some are applied directly on crops to control pests and diseases. Okay, now let's look at some examples of agrochemicals. They include perbolates, which are used to control weeds. We also have the likes of ammonium sulfate that boost soil fertility. Oh, don't let us forget cyanide. This one is used as fumigant, even though it is dangerous. There's another chemical that was banned some times ago. It's called zeranide. This chemical, they used to apply it on cattle to promote their growth. Okay, these are examples of agrochemicals used in agricultural sector. Okay, let's go on to number three. Number three should be industrial chemicals. Oh, these chemicals are often used in industries, and they actually serve as raw materials for other chemical products. It's from these chemicals that we get other chemicals or other chemical products. Yes, chemical products like the likes of heavy chemicals that are often used in large quantities. These heavy chemicals are actually used as raw materials. We also have some chemicals in the industry. We call them fine chemicals. These ones are needed in small quantities but with high degree of purity. They are the ones later on converted to drugs. They are also used to produce our food additives as well as seasonings. Okay, then we also have petrochemicals too. Industrial chemicals that are called petrochemicals include the likes of benzene, the likes of phenol, and the likes of PVC that is used to make plastic. Okay, these are just few examples of industrial chemicals. Now let's go to number 4, which is laboratory chemicals. Laboratory chemicals are chemicals used in laboratory for performing experiments and also for investigating procedures. You must have come across them in my office, of course, asking questions about, oh, what does this one do? What does this one do? What does this one do? What does that one do? Okay, fine. Let's look at one or two examples of laboratory chemicals. We have the likes of calcium hydroxide. Oh, this one is a base. We also have an acid called hydrochloric acid. Yeah, we have another acid called sulfuric acid, and some other acids and indicator. Oh, there is one particular base called sodium hydroxide. You must have seen it on my shelf. Okay, fine. These are few examples of laboratory chemicals used for performing experiments. Alright, the next one, which is the last one in this class, is called nuclear chemicals. Nuclear chemicals are used as weapons. They have effect on our skin and lungs. But no, wait. Some of them are actually used to benefit man. For instance, the likes of uranium, which is actually used to generate electricity. But wait. Let's look at some common examples that you have come across. Tear gas. Do you know is a nuclear chemicals? And there's another gas called mustard gas. Okay, now at this junction, we have just finished a particular class of chemicals. All the 5 types of chemicals we mentioned, they are a class of chemicals based on their uses. Now let's go on and see another classification based on hazardous nature. At this point, we want to see whether they are dangerous or they are not dangerous. But wait, why is this classification? I said we want to know whether they are dangerous or they are not harmful. Also, it will be helpful for those using these chemicals to know their hazardous effects and take caution as well. Alright, that now takes me to number 1 on the list. Highly hazardous chemicals. Some chemicals are categorized as highly hazardous. You know why? Because they are highly poisonous. Wow! Not only that, they can cause explosion. Do you know that they can also cause death? Oh, it's so bad. They even have effects on our tissues. They can destroy the tissues of the eyes and skin, cause blindness, and then it can corrode our skin or hit our skin away. That is in fact, highly hazardous indeed. Okay, let's look at 1 or 2 examples of highly hazardous chemicals. We have cyanide. Oh, this one, you don't want to joke with it. Though they are used in the agricultural sector to kill pests, but when it gets into our food, it can, in fact, after a while, after accumulating for a long period of time, it can lead to cancer. Oh my god. There's another one called bromine chloride. This one is a hot liquid. It's very hot. When I say hot liquid, it's very, very dangerous. It can cause explosion. And there's another one called chloroform. Chloroform is the one that when inhaled, one can pass out, meaning one can faint, or it can even lead to death. In fact, my dear students, anytime you see this sign, it means such chemicals are highly hazardous. Stay away from them. Don't go close at all. There is another type called moderately hazardous chemicals. This particular type of chemicals, they are similar to highly hazardous chemicals, but it's just that they are less dangerous. For the fact that they are less dangerous does not mean that they are not still harmful. They are, my dear students. In fact, notice that they can cause irritation as well as make your skin to become reddened or form blisters. Let's look at 1 or 2 examples of moderately hazardous chemicals. We have the likes of hypochlorite in bleach. Oh, wait a minute. Have you heard of hypo? Oh, you know hypo. It contains this particular chemical. It is moderately hazardous. You know why? You can of course touch hypo. It is kind of slippery, but you don't want to ingest it. You don't want to swallow it. It is still harmful. Not only hypochlorite, there's another one called hydrogen peroxide. They must have applied it on your wound before. If you have not, you must have seen it before in the first aid box. Hydrogen peroxide can be hazardous too when swallowed. And there's another one too called the likes of dilute acid and bases. Those ones that they've added water to. These acids and bases are still dangerous. Okay, in fact, my dear students, anytime you see this sign, just know that that particular chemical is still harmful, even though it is less dangerous. Now, let's go on and see the third one, non-hazardous and non-toxic. This type of chemicals, they are not dangerous. Not only that, they may not cause any adverse effect at all. Let's look at one or two examples. The likes of salt. My dear, you know that salt is good for the body. And of course, you know that it's still a chemical. Yeah, it is non-hazardous, non-poisonous. Oh, not only that. Do you know that sugar too is very good? It doesn't cause any adverse effect. Oh, the likes of nitrogen. You inhale this virtually every day. How do I know that? Because it is present in air. 71% of the air that you breathe contains nitrogen. And here you are still alive. So these chemicals are less dangerous. They may not cause any harm. In fact, anytime you see this kind of sign, it means it is such a chemical is non-hazardous and non-toxic. Now that you have known this, my dear students, it's time for us to look at safety measures you need to take when you are working with chemicals in the laboratory or you come across them. It is very, very important that you know these safety measures. In fact, I want to sound a note of warning to you that you should consider all chemicals in the laboratory to be dangerous every time. All of them. Consider them dangerous. With that, you will be safe. Not only that, also check the label on all chemicals, all chemical bottles, before removing them from the contents. So before you open a particular bottle, read the label. You can't tell. It may be a highly hazardous chemicals that if you should open it, it may explode. Alright. Also note this, that you should not remove chemicals from the lab areas and follow instructions every time, both manufacturer instruction and your teachers or your instructors instructions. Okay, my dear students, always handle all chemicals with care. Maintain and organize an orderly facility. Let your surroundings be clean every time. Follow basic safety rules and obey safety signs. They matter a lot. In fact, don't also forget to store chemicals in shelves with labels. Anytime you want to store them, always report any form of accident, no matter how minor it could be, to an appropriate person. Wear hand gloves when you are touching or when you are dealing with toxic chemicals. Not only that, wear safety goggles when you are working with chemicals that can explode, and wear glass masks to avoid breathing in poisonous gas. Oh, my dear students, smartness can kill. Smartness in the laboratory can be dangerous. Don't try to be smart. Don't try to assume that, oh, I know it cannot do anything, I know how to handle it. Do you know what can save you? Just obey instructions. And don't try to play around chemicals. This is not funny to play around chemicals. You know they are dangerous. In fact, watch this video and tell me whether this is intelligent or this is stupidity. Stupidity? Yes. How could you do that? But thank God for the glass mask is putting on. Without that, something else would have happened. And you can see that he's even putting on overall. even though his attitude towards what is handling is very, very poor. So, my dear students, watch it again. You can see that this chemical, they are much on the tripod stand, and you can see his attitude too, playing around it. And then the next thing that happened is, all right. So, my dear students, how well do you know these signs, these safety signs? The first one up here, flammable, self-reactive, and pyrophoric, means that such chemicals can catch fire on their own when exposed. Stay away from such chemical. The second one is telling you that this kind of chemical is dangerous to your skin. It can destroy the tissues of your eyes too, and it can even make metals to melt. Okay, the third one is telling you that when this chemical pour on your body, it can cause irritation. The fourth one, oxidizer, is telling you that this chemical can burn, and when it burns, whatever that is being burnt by this chemical cannot be recovered back. It will turn to something else totally. Oh, the fifth sign says gases under pressure. This sign is telling you that do not play with this gas, because any gas that is under pressure can explode if carelessly handled. The sixth one, carcinogen, mutagen, teratogen. Do you know what it means? It means this chemical can cause cancer. Oh, you know what cancer is. This chemical can cause mutation. It will change your body's cells, and no drug, no cure about it. And in fact, no cure for it again. Do you know that pregnant women, when they come in contact with this kind of chemical, it can affect their unborn baby? It can cause deformation or one or two defects when the baby is born. Okay, explosive and peroxide is telling you that this chemical can explode violently. Oh, the next one after heat, environmental effects. Any chemical labeled this way, it means that when it is being poured outside, it can actually affect either the air or the soil. The last one is telling you that this chemical is very poisonous. Very, very poisonous. And you're going to see the effect instantly. My dear students, know these signs, and I'm very sure if you obey them, you will be safe around chemicals. This is how we come to the end of this video. Now let's look at the summary of what we have learned today. Today we learned that chemicals are substances which can be elements or compounds produced by a chemical process. We also learned that chemicals can be classified based on use and based on hazardous nature. Chemicals are used in the production of pharmaceutical drugs and cosmetics. We also learned that chemical hazards can be avoided when we handle all chemicals with care, maintain an organized and orderly facility, follow basic safety procedure, and when we observe and obey safety signs. This is how we come to the end of this video. I believe by now you have gained a whole lot today. Go ahead and take your quiz. Thank you. I'll see you soon. Bye. Thank you for watching this video. Now you can go ahead and take the quiz.